udah. Ya. Rush is work. Iya, dengar. It's me. It's a bit to be live me. Begin to go. Woohoo! Hello. This is the forever. Ini lo di apa? Trust me, it's work.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Stanley.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor at his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley
4027.
And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Udah, ya. Skip dong tadi tuh. NCPT. Terus tujuan kita kemana?
Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility? He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't go anywhere except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed, then days. Had years gone by? He no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer. Here it comes. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Jadi kita harus ke meeting room nyari memo.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers. Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Pintunya ketutup semua ya. Kita mencet E bisa diklik. Kita crouch. Nyangkut. Tujuan kita kemana, Pak?
Stanley clicked on literally every single door in the office because he doesn't pick up well on cues from his environment.
Input receive. Gak ada kontrol gitu ya. Pintunya kekunci semua.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Kita suruh ngambil yang kiri kah? Kiri, oke, kiri. Kan game horror kan ini. Stanley. Oh, ini tempat meeting.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling
Do
a
not
wave of
alter with
disbelief,
consulting
Stanley
billboard
decided to go
manager.
up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Everyone is unique. Number. Oh, itu di atas. Bisa gue tutup? Gak bisa. What is hot? Profits. Yang apa sih? Post review. Hard worker, work harder work, hard worker as target demographic teenagers. Yang apa dah? Shift global market, monetize free to play. Wih, room.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Back on the track.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Oke, kita suruh ke bos office. Biasanya meja resepsionis.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
845.
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly, yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Di tempat apa ini, Cok? What the hell? Loading.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Gelap banget, Pak.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Ini lari. Wah, tolonglah. Bentar. Tuh, nggak bisa nih kalau. Yep, so.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Find out.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Why? Apa?
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Main contrast idle input. Ini ada nomor ini. Mana dulu kok? Kita lurus dulu. Ya ilah, mama tuh. Good system.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Wow, tidak ngerti.
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes. Now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off.
Udah jalan.
But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock, why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees.
Kenapa sih?
Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it
Dua
on?
purple di
I mean,
mana?
look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see
Gimana
you
dah?
made
Kocak.
humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at
Goodbye,
the clock.
employee for
That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another
Ya,
choice.
meledak.
Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your
Apa yang
inevitable
terjadi?
life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever after.
Cuar. Cuar. Dengarkanlah. It's the end. It's never the end. Ya, ulang lagi.
All of his co-workers were... Wait, no. This isn't the right office, is it? Is this Stanley's office?
Kau ulang lagi. Gimana sih cara mainnya?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming new age music.
Wih, tumben ada musik ya. Beda lagi kah? Calming you.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Itu masih nggak ngerti kok gimana dah maksudnya dah. Stanley portable, Stanley parable. Coba kalau seandainya kita langsung ke
Stanley walked straight ahead
escape.
through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Coba kita langsung escape.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Anjir, dia terjun payung, cok.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. So he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
What the fuck is that?
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Yes. Itu lagi gua. Biar gelap banget, cok. The Stanley parable.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Kena looping live kah apa gimana deh? Ini kantor dia. Ini kan 427. Jadi kan ikut jalan-jalan. Tok nih belok kanan, lurus. Ke sini tempat meeting. Ini tempat meeting. Koridor. Office layout. The two doors. Oh jadi ini tempat meetingnya yang mana dah? Kan tempat meetingnya sekitar sini deh. Ini kan tempat meeting, entahlah. Apa nih? Filling cabinets, office komputer. Ya kita matiin doang anjir, gak usah dihidupin. Kredit, udah ada kredit apa kalau udah selesai? Button sound. Sorry, tetep aja nggak ngerti. The office maintenance room. Ya aja nggak bisa baca dokumen. These are screenshots of the Stanley HD remix, more ending fewer gimana bacanya? Endings, fewer endings, more narrators, fewer narrators, more Stanley, less Stanley. Oh, ini kayak hashtagnya kali. The point of the Stanley Parable HD remix is to win. I'm going crazy. Maybe it isn't the same image. What's the clock there before? I don't remember. The point of the Stanley Parable HD remix is to large mistake is someone Warzone. Gue belum ngeliat ya tempat ini. Early in development we design and ending where Stanley holding up battlefield fighting. We design an ending where Stanley Walt and up on a battlefield fighting aliens. The action game will become sentient. Gimana baca? A world awake war against the narrator. We realized shortly after starting to build it that it was far too jokey, and on the nose. That cuma gak akan ngerti gua. Oh ini alien base. Jadi dia bikin juga ya tentang tema alien, perang alien. Yes. The launch office. Bro. The apartment timer. Satu. Lah. Empat dua tujuh nih, komen kita nih. Stanley Office. From left, dari kiri ke kanan. The Evolution Stanley Office dari 2011, 2013, 2013. Monitornya dari 2 jadi 1. Dari kecil jadi besar. Berarti itu udah 3 tahun kok. Game design mock up. Ya. Monitor room elevator. Kita masuk dari sana. Nih, yang main control sama escape. Narration or text. Selesai kah harusnya ini? Berarti kita harus ke pintu yang tadi berarti ya, terakhir.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
Off.
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. Save these two. You can stop the
Anjir, masih
program
dilanjut.
before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now. It'll be your only
Whoa.
true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose
What the
for
fuck
you.
is-
Don't let time.
Halo? Halo? Damage rate. Stanley udah gepeng. Jam setengah 12.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley
Kalau
came
kita
to
ke
a set
kanan.
of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Ah, nih.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few
few
moments
moments.
here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in. Yes, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it. At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality. It's possible that this is why everyone left.
Border creepy.
But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business.
Ini buat kembali ke bisnis. Wah, ini endingnya banyak banget sih.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Stanley mau jadi arsitek.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about.
Please.
Stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
Huh?
This
What?
is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
She's been waiting. Ya apa? Wah, astagfirullahaladzim,
That's
goblok.
her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
Then pick up the phone. What the?
Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. Oh.
Flashback.
Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley.
Yang sekarang gue
I'm trying to get you
tampol.
to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
Gak mau, gak mau.
Sorry, but you're in my story now.
Jam scare gak ya?
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Oh, ini cerita. Good morning, employee. Press key on your keyboard.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
Please press 2.
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life. But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful.
Ya Allah, lagi
And
bikin
each
video
day
mama
that he
ngapain?
returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined
What's
that one
TV?
day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly.
To spend time with the boys.
So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
Press B to prepare dinner.
As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
It's the Stanley Parable. To tell your kid
It
story.
was such a wonderful phantom. And again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
Tell your wife you love her.
But there is no answer. How could there possibly be?
Mana balik ke
In
kantor.
reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one.
Go to sleep.
And I'm trying to tell him this, that in
It's
this world he can
important,
never be anything but an observer. That as long as he remains here,
Observer.
he's slowly killing himself.
But
But he
he
won't listen
won't.
to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it. You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Nih gua nggak jawab.
I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
Perintah apa? Terakhir itu perintah apa anjir, tolong mati.
How long was I sitting there? Stanley wondered to himself. Minutes? Days? Centuries? Did something crucial happen while my senses were turned? He made a note to be more careful with time from now on.
Kayaknya kita looping deh, coba terjadi dalam beberapa ending guys ya. Kali ini gak ketutup.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Kita
This was
pilih
not the
kanan
correct
lagi.
way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Tadi kan kita milih lurus ya. Sekarang kita kesini.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Coba lurus ya. Oh,
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Hoping he might
Coba kita
find
ke
an
bawah.
answer coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
gak ada apa-apa.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So he imagined himself flying, and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one.
Hypnotis.
Let me wake up, he thought to himself.
Let
I'm
me
through
wake up.
with this dream. I wish it to be over.
Let me
Let
go
me go
back to
back to
my
my
job.
job.
Let me
Let
continue
me
pushing
continue
the
pushing the
button.
buttons.
Pushing.
Please. It's all I
Pushing,
want.
pushing.
I want my apartment and
And
my
my
wife
wife and my
and my
job.
job.
All I
All
want
I
is my
want is my life
salad
exactly the way
is
it's always been. My life is normal.
I am
I am
normal.
normal.
Everything
Will
will
be fine.
turu langsung.
I am
Oke.
okay.
Oke, kata-kata terakhir itu Stanley terbangun.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
What the hell? Ini kayak hipnotis
This is
banget
the
sih.
story of a woman named Mariella.
Ini story
Mariella woke
perempuan
up on a day like
namanya
any other. She arose, got
Mariella.
dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk.
Shit.
And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief
For a
moments,
moment,
she
he
considered
squeezed
the
the
strange
strange
man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind.
Shit.
I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this.
Sama dia
and in a
dahsyat.
certain
Dia yang
way,
mengontrol
seeing
sebuah
this
pikiran.
man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the
Iya
body.
mama, ini masuk suaranya.
And then she
Ngapain?
turned around.
Turut. Alright. Mulai. It's never right. Wah, ini mah bakal looping terus ya. Oke, sekali lagi satu ending lagi ya. Kita naik ke
The
eskalator.
soft wind blew outside and perhaps rain started.
Itu kata-kata
And
itu
if it
baru
did, it
lagi.
stopped shortly after. Stanley hoped that he would one day see weather.
Gue yang stres loh, kena looping mulu tuh. Bahasa Inggris banyak tuh. I'm depression.
When Stanley came to a set of
Oke,
two
kita balik
open,
kanan.
this was not the correct way to the meeting
Bodo amat,
room,
gak
and
peduli.
Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Jadi ini sama kayak yang di kiri ya, yang naik
But
eskalator tuh.
Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake. No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right?
I was thinking.
What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please?
Oh, let's see.
Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Dia bilang tabrak mobil. Oke. Ini kah?
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, hmm? Okay, from the top.
Stress gue. Udah stress, udah lah. Itu aja ya, segitu aja ya. Ada ending yang langsung nutup pintu. Itu udah, jadi nggak bisa.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Kayaknya kita udah semua deh.
When Stanley... Wait.
What
Wait,
the hell?
No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere, or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here
Iya
somewhere.
banget anjir.
Okay then, it's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's
Let's find
find
this.
the story.
Gimana caranya? Gue disuruh mencari story sendiri. Tapi ini kayaknya saling tersambung gak sih? Ini bisa ke kanan nih. Tuh. Ya coba ya kiri ya. Kan apa kenapa ditutup gitu?
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely
Mampus,
that we'll
kena
ever
looping
progress
gua.
by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
Diulang lagi. Tahu gue stres ah, adalah segitu aja lah. Endingnya banyak itu cok, adalah thank you.